I find it really strange that they went out their way to buff Shallot in the 7th anniversary, but didn't give the game originals tag anything. It's arriving at 2 years if we get to the festival and they don't drop a game originals since our last one, which was Goku and Bardock in the 2023 festival. And since then, every time there's an opportunity, the community has been shooting out predictions of what possible game originals everyone would like to see. And honestly, if we wanted to slice this video short, the potential is infinite. There are so many combinations of characters, not just in high rarity, so you shouldn't just think about it as a premium unit, but if we go through the options, we have the Ultras, the Legends Limiteds, regular Sparkings, EXs, and if the developers actually locked in, we might get some new heroes. But the point being, surely there's one coming up, right? But I wanted to talk in this video about what the actual next game originals could be, as well as how far they will actually go when it comes to designing a game originals unit. So first off, let's start with the story, right? We obviously got the Shallot buff in the 7th anniversary. Shallot becomes good and you're just kind of forcing him on Saiyan teams with other Saiyan units that exist, if you even want to use him in the first place. He doesn't do anything extra spectacular, he just tanks a lot more, and obviously depending on the transformation you're using, you will have that kit accordingly, making him relevant enough to be run. That's all we got for Shallot, but that's pretty much the bare minimum in my opinion for the game's mascot, the actual main character, so much so that they've put him in Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, the game that's supposed to be the leading force for Dragon Ball games in 2025. Supposed to. So we move past Shallot, then we start thinking about what else we got from the story mode, and the other biggest thing that we've got is a fusion warrior. If not that, Shallot's twin brother, Giblet. So between the fusion, Shallot, but I'm gonna say Chalet for the rest of the video, so you don't get confused about which one I'm talking about because of my British accent. So Chalet and Giblet are the two other options we've got, and just looking at them, they have pretty cool transformations. We've obviously got the Super Saiyan God form for Chalet, and everything about him is putting all the pieces of Dragon Ball together to make a hype new design. The scar on his face, the tail, the red color with the Super Saiyan God, which syncs up somewhat with Super Saiyan 4, or you could even say it was pre-foreshadowing Super Saiyan 4 in Daima, but I'm not gonna say too much on that either. And he uses a green attack, taking a bit from Broly here, or you could say Kefla too, more so Kale I guess. So there's a very unique design there when we're talking about Chalet the fusion. But even with Shallot's twin brother Giblet, his design is obviously incorporated in the Chalet design. So we got the scar on Giblet's face, he's got Super Saiyan God 2, but he also uses dark type, so he has that extra color aura, which makes him a lot more different than anything else we've seen in the Dragon Ball universe. Now the only reason I could think that they haven't given us any of these yet is simply because the story mode needs to progress more. The expectation for a lot of Dragon Ball Legends players, for the most part, is that they're probably not even past Book 2. And because of that, if they gave out one of these characters, it'd have to be a requirement for you to play really high in the story. And I think until the story progresses way further, they don't plan on doing anything like that. I would also argue that because the story has yet to reveal the main antagonist, if I'm not mistaken anyways, the mystery man, the guy in the blue hood, they're probably holding back until that person does get revealed. And when that happens, there will probably be a lot of updates revolving around the story mode, game originals, Shallot, and I also imagine revamping the game in general. Beyond from that, I don't expect anything else regarding the story mode and characters here and there, but those are my thoughts on the story mode. If you do tap into what's happening in the story, please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below, as you'd have more insight on this topic. Now, I also do want to talk about the potential right here, right now. At the current moment, we've got this whole King Cold campaign, and I don't especially have high hopes for it, but I'm thinking the things they could drop from this campaign aren't in the high numbers. If we're keeping it very strict to Lineage of Evil, pretty much all the options available we already have in mind. It's not like they could swing us to the left and drop something we wouldn't expect. If I want to just do that for you straight away, what could we get? A Pod Frieza, which we pretty much already have, it's just the first form Frieza. Metal Cooler, wow, that's a hard prediction to make. The final form, we have that already. Chilled, come on bruh. And we've already got King Cold, a Frieza Zenkai, and Cooler himself. So I do really think there's a very high opportunity for us to get a new Frieza right here, right now. Now, the first Game Originals premium unit that we got was Goku and Bardock, father and son. But I don't think they do that if they go the Lineage of Evil route. Based on the options, I simply don't think it would bang. I think it's a way better option to go the brother route and give us some unique lines between Frieza and Cooler. In this case, taking making them both in their highest forms. So it would be our first Golden Frieza that's a Legends Limited, and also the final form Cooler in addition, but not our first of that. And I think putting them both together would actually make a very cool unit. Now, I'm not an LOE guy, and it would be a very easy skip for me, but this would obviously be a very hype thing, especially coming out of the anniversary. How are they gonna pull us in? Just drop an average Lineage of Evil unit? But obviously this is assuming they are only dropping Lineage of Evil units. They could go ahead and just drop a Saiyan that belongs to one of the movies or arc where these Lineage of Evil characters actually appear. And obviously we don't know what the case is going to be, but based on how the update rolled out and we had to basically join King Cold's clan. Crazy they forced me to do that, by the way. I'm not happy about that in the slightest. I'm more in the box of thinking they drop regular LOE stuff, give the buffs here and there. They've been dropping LOE a lot. We got the Ultra recently. We even got Frost on the Kefla banner. Then boom, a game originals. The tag is set for the next year pretty much. It should at least last until the festival, hoping that Power Creep doesn't grab another jetpack and go off in the sky. But that's all for current, as that's the campaign we're in right now. But I wanted to talk a bit more in general, and this could also apply to right now if you're assuming we're not gonna get just Lineage of Evil characters. Now, like I said at the start of the video, when it comes to the game originals tag, I really feel like the potential is infinite. But how far would these devs really go? Now, I think there's one thing they wouldn't do, and they wouldn't just create characters out of thin air that do not exist. For example, even though Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle have done things like this, I think it's very unlikely they bring out potential characters that we could have got in the series or make up new design. For example, the fusion between Goku and Gohan. Had Gohan not dropped the Potara earring, that's something we would have got in the anime. But I don't see Dragon Ball Legends making a model for a Goku and Gohan fusion. I think it just requires a bit much, and the design doesn't exist in the series. Now, on the other side, Dokkan Battle have done things like this. For example, there's a Goku and Hercule fusion where they fuse using the Pataras. So that alone makes me think it is possible in Legends, but I think Legends just has higher requirements for what they could produce. On top of the fact they've been very stingy with what they do produce regarding the game originals tag. We've barely got anything. So I think if they are going to drop something, it's something that will be easily marketable, like Goku and Bardock. I don't imagine them going extra over the top with brand new designs that we wouldn't expect. If I was to tell you what I think the most ridiculous thing they would do would be, I would simply say they'd put two Fusion Warriors together, Vegito and Gogeta tag unit, which we've actually had in one of the Dragon Ball Legends anniversaries, specifically I believe it's the 6th, where Gogeta and Vegito, they fight together against every antagonist, and the cutscene is especially cool. So them being a unit is not ridiculous. Other ones they've already showed us, I'd put out there MUI Goku and SSBE Vegeta. They fought each other, but they could also be a unit that works together. We had that in the 7th anniversary. And I'll also put out there MUI Goku and Beast Gohan, based on the summon animation against Cell Max. If I wanted to be extra, I could also throw out a free-to-play option where we would get Chalet the Fusion alongside Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, because they fought against each other for a little sparring match. But even in all these options that I've given out, it's not exactly anything spectacular because we've already seen it. On paper, they're definitely amazing, but I think it's more likely they would give us something that we haven't seen before. For example, when we got the Legends Limited Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist Goku, they just used the animation from the summons. So the unit was new, but the animation itself wasn't. So it shows they're not afraid to take animations that they've already used and put them into new units that they'd release as premium. But I will take it a step further. If we bring up Legends Limited fusing Super Vegito, the animations are taken from Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And I'll also put in that same sentence, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, they got shallots. And then I'll also mention Kakarot Goku and Android 21. Now, why all these characters? Well, they're characters that are from or exhibit traits from console games, specifically Fighter Z, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and Sparking Zero. Because of that, there's also the option for things that we've seen in those games too. I want to specifically talk about Sparking Zero. I think it's an easy way to give Sparking Zero more life, but also Dragon Ball Legends to take something from their what if concepts. The biggest biggest one being Gohan Black. Now in this case, I did mention earlier they wouldn't make new designs for characters, but with Gohan here, it's more so a change of facial expression alongside his outfit, and then the animations, no matter what character it is, they'd have to make custom. So I think this is probably the bar of what they do, alongside some other things in Sparking Zero, such as the Vegeta and Trunks father-son final flash. But hey, maybe we'll see something ridiculous, like 2 Gokus on one unit, just in different timelines, given the whole Diamond release and how everybody's in the debate of what's canon and what's not canon. A Super Saiyan Blue Goku with a Super Saiyan Full Goku from GT, which is the true timeline for you. But yeah man, that's going to make the end of this video. I'm sure I'm not the only creative one here, so if you have any ideas, please feel free to drop them down below in the comment section. All input is amazing and all ideas are accepted with this, to be honest. Of course, some will sound more far-fetched than others, but it's more about the conversation as we are not developers ourselves. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.